All right, so up next, we will talk about the full season of Agatha All Along, right? If you remember last time, we spoke about the first 2 episodes, right? So, yeah, we had to wait for the other 5 to air, and, now we finally talking about the full season itself, right? So, I don't think we have to, talk about what the premise is again, because we kind of mentioned it last time, right? So, we might as well just kick off, our review of it, right? And, we will get a little spoilery in this, right? So, for me, right, what I would say about Agatha All Along, right, is that this, for me, is one of the better MCU TV shows that we've gotten in quite some time, right?
Came out. Yeah, this came out a lot better than expected. It started off okay. I wasn't expecting much, and then by the end it was, this is excellent.
It was, yeah. And for me, one thing that I have to applaud with the show, right? Because yes, as MCU fans ourselves, right? I understand that there's a lot of people who just signed off of the MCU since Endgame dropped, right? It was like, all right, this is the end of the story. I really don't care about nothing else. I don't care about WandaVision. I don't care about Marvels. I don't care about anything else. Endgame was the end game, right? I don't want to see nothing else, right? So I can understand a lot of people using that as an excuse to say, I don't know if I should watch these shows. And besides, there's so much shows that came out, since after Endgame. So I don't know where to start. And, and that's why, some people didn't really gravitate to movies like Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, right? Where, yes, that show was like, you need to watch, WandaVision to understand who the Scarlet Witch is and why she's doing what is she doing, right? So it's one of those things, right? I felt they went too far with a little too far, with the Marvels, right? Where it's like, oh well, if you did not watch any of those shows, yeah, I'm sorry for you. That was the problem. Like it was too much of it, right? Yeah, when you're bringing I'm forgetting Homegirl from Hawkeye, right? Yeah, near the end, sure, like, well, but I don't, I know who she is, right? But I mean, if you never saw Hawkeye, you wouldn't know who she is. It'd be like, what the hell going on, right? So yeah, it was like that, right? But the point is, right? One thing I have to give credit for this show for is saying, listen, this world is so immense, right? This Marvel cinematic world is so immense that we don't have to tell stories that are solely about Avengers or Avengers or sidekicks or villains. We don't need to do that again. We could take, a character that we sort of introduce in a show and just explore that character, right? So in other words, it's much bigger than the Avengers,
I think because Catherine Hahn is just so excellent as Agatha, she just gets you own shit.
Yeah.
Like, it's just that.
It makes perfect sense,
And that's always been the link of this. If you find yourself in a place to do something amazing and you knock it out of the park, you do that, and that's what you'll get. And that basically went into it. And she's one of those characters that you could expand on workably well, given what we know about magic and whatever it is.
Yes.
So you're just telling this interesting story and then doubling back to Wanda's narrative because, well, a major character becomes a major character, and it's like, okay, it verifies something that I speculate about.
Okay.
But it's like, all right.
Which you'll get to the spoilers, but I know you talk about.
Yeah, I guess it's right. Yeah, and so but what they end up doing with that, or where they went with it, is like a much more interesting than I expected. Because I thought, it'll stop there and they'll do some bullshit, and then they'll have the big laser beam fight bullshit they almost always do.
Oh, yeah.
But no, that is not what we get. We end up getting something, in my opinion, a lot more interesting of character beats. Where they went with certain characters was much more interesting. Like, oh shit, that's real bad. And they could leave things open for certain characters. And to me, this is how you're supposed to do this. Like the side characters, this is a side character of a side character.
Yes,
and they still do. On top of that, not only that, but they lean very, very heavily into what people in the culture will react to, right? In terms of the queerness of the whole thing, very, very queer. Or I was virtually every character queer. Leading to the queer, they didn't try that, and it still tell a good story. Nobody was yelling woke or anything like that because it tell a good story. Yes. And, leading into the bullshit. Yes, tell a good story, and you should be, you ought to worry about it. And it end up what we end up getting into, especially that episode, like the 7th episode was pretty good. That is the clairvoyant. That was great. Like it had episodes that was leading up to that was okay. Then 8 was great. Then 9 was amazing.
I loved 9.
Yeah.
Except for one thing about 9 though, but I'll get to that in the spoilers, right? In the spoiler section.
And yeah,
one thing about 9.
My thing is that they just sit down and tell a good story. Like unlike Acolyte bullshit where they just clumsy and bounce around the place. They just sit down, keep focus, good characterization, and then tell some really, really smart stuff as it was. I thought this overall was pretty good. Like really surprising good. I didn't expect it to be as good as it was, and they wrap it up in a smart way. Really well done.
Yes, agreed. Yeah. So I just like the fact that yes, we could just tell really solid stories, but it does not have to rely on what you know about the Avengers films and whatnot, right? So it's not like that, right?
Yeah.
And it didn't need to be actually. So I love that it actually explores the idea of witchcraft or how we know about witches in pop culture. And whatnot, right?
This is particularly interesting in the MCU because it already have a whole school of sorcery, but this is like a vastly different school of magic.
Mm-hmm.
And why it works is that because Wanda was kind of both. Remember, she was like the prime version of all of that.
Yes.
She was I forget what type of wizard she was, or which she was.
I can't remember.
Chaos magic.
Right.
So she could just do anything. But it's both the source of this type of magic, but it's also the source of what Doctor Strange and them just do now. Right? That geometric shape, sacred number, sacred geometry stuff they'll be doing. And that was like really interesting because we don't really see Agatha do any of that at all. And then, the character that they introduced, he should have been doing that too. Or at least I think he might have. Nope, we don't really see any of that either. I'm like, all right, that kind of interesting, but why do we don't see much of that? And then they explain why with all these characters. I'm like, okay, that's real cool. And it's all the classical, mostly European, which I kind of complain about. A slight nitpick, but we'll get into that. Mostly, classical Wiccan culture or popular culture conceits, and then they reframe it in their own way of that's the bullshit way, but this is the real thing, and blah 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 blah. And then they do a big plot reveal at the end, which was great.
Yes.
I like, holy shit, that's like a real good twist though.
I know.
Yeah, I like, all right, that's a real, that catch it completely, because the entire time you had here thinking that is a thing, and that we know what that thing is, and then they just flip it on you with that. I'm like, all right, not bad.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, they catch you. And this is how you had to do it.
Yeah.
Even if you have a side character that nobody should care about. I mean, how many people knew who Agatha Harkness was before WandaVision?
I didn't know who she was.
Exactly. I vaguely knew who she was from the comic. I'm like, yeah, it's a old witch woman. Right, cool. That's the character. That was it. And then they build from it, and it's just good talent, good material, and it's just some simple, solid writing. It's not like some masterpiece writing.
No.
Simple, solid writing, and they just fit it to the MCU and they tell a story. And yeah, we just end up getting an excellent product. If it wasn't for Penguin being absolutely goated.
Oh yeah.
This would probably be my favorite comic book thing for the year.
Yeah, I agree with you for the most part, right? So let's wrap up my spoiler-free thoughts, right? I thought that the performances were great across the board. I just love the chemistry between. Catherine Hahn stands tall as the most charming, character in the show. Yes, even though she is sassy, she is very sarcastic. At times it's just like, why you always acting so bitchy though? You know what I mean? But the more the story progresses, the more it's like.
Really hateable asshole.
Yeah, boy. But the more the story.
With certain reveal.
Yes.
Real God hate you.
Yeah, but the more the story plays out, right? Is like, you understand, right? I love her chemistry with all the other actors. Joe Luck was great though as teen, right? That as the teen. That's all we'll say at the moment before we get to spoiler territory, right? And that's how they explore his character as well. I thought was really cool. And then of course, there's the LGBTQ representation in the show. I thought was well handled, right? Very, very tastefully done, very subtle. It's not all up in your face, right? To those people like, oh my god, an MCU movie with MCU show with
it didn't even shy away from it. It just felt normal. This is how you write characters.
Normal.
Like this. I don't understand why people just make a big deal about something or the other. It's like, no. gay people exist, they will be a certain way or not, but they have an internal culture, and it really felt like, oh, it's actual gay people. Really.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
this. It's all
and also, the other members of this coven, this unofficial coven, I should say, Agatha's unofficial coven. Yeah, they make for some really charming characters as well too, right? Whether it's Sharon Davis, who's played by Deborah Jo Rupp. We have Jennifer Kale, we have Alice Wu Gulliver, Lilia Caldero, we just have these really fascinating characters as well, right? Of course, McGill, Aubrey Plaza is there, and, she makes for a great villain. Them eyes, though, I mean, right? But yeah, she's a great antagonist, right?
Yep.
There's a minor nitpick about her character. All right, so this is the spoiler-free nitpick, but I'll get into detail of that in the spoiler section, right? I felt like we could have gotten a little bit more detail into why she does what she does, right? When you find out who she is, like, oh, okay, I understand why, but it just felt like, okay, she will stop at nothing to get at these characters. But you're thinking, oh, well, I'll put it like this, right? Because of the reveal of who she is, right? It's like, okay, I understand, but I feel like there's something more going on. It's not like, it's almost like you're playing into the character. That's all I see without spoiling.
I just thinking about it, and I didn't check. So was there a post-credit sequence in this? Like,
no, for none. For none of these episodes had any post-credit scenes. And they actually touch on that, right? Because people was expecting one in the finale. It was like, nope, we didn't get that.
The thing is, when they reveal who was involved with her at the end, certain character, and that character was supposed to be like a big deal in going forward, and they reference him in the ending. I like, well, that character could be a big deal going forward. And but they didn't make any mention of it going forward at all. And they just they left it open at the ending. I'm like, all right, scene. All right, so let me see where they can't go with that. All right, no problem.
Right. Just a couple things, right? I thought that the direction was strong, throughout as well too, and the writing as well was solid, right? I just love how witty and how clever the dialogue is, right? Whether it's
and how they bounce off each other. Right?
Yes. So that's how these characters bounce off each other, right? But my major of the gripes, right? My major of the minor gripes, if that makes sense, right? Is, and don't hate me for saying this, right? But think about it, right? Remember, this thing was released, leading up to Halloween, right? In spooky season, if you will, right?
Right.
I don't mind. All right, so ultimately the show leaned more towards dark fantasy than horror. But I felt like, given what the MCU gave us with Werewolf by Night, we gotta get a little bit more scares out of this, though. Can I just watch this? Boy, this is like real. Like, all right, there is tension and there's some spooky stuff, eh? There's like team spooky stuff, though. There was moments where I felt like I thought it was going to go all in and really get your heart racing. Like, nah, this real team, like.
Yeah, I expect any of that. Yeah, it's whatever. It's a craft.
I know, but they could have. All right, again, this me just being nitpicky, right? Monday morning quarterback, right? Yeah, you could have thrown a little bit more horror into it, though. Like, that would have been wrong. I'm not saying make it too dark, but throwing a little scares, bro. Like they was doing it. Even but afterwards, like, well, now we can't really come up with that. So it's like,
I didn't expect that one way or the other. One thing that's the most impressive of is what was done. All of this was done with the budget. The budget is quite low.
Yeah,
so I understand. I think it's only $40 million. Let's compare to one of the biggest pieces of bullshit from last year. Was ridiculously expensive. That was Secret Invasion. Compare that to Secret Invasion, which was a colossal waste of my time. And that was like what, $250 million or some absolutely insane balloon budget. This was just $40 million.
Yeah,
that's very impressive. Like they just work with what they work with. They make some simple craft. There's one scene. This is not really a spoiler, where a character literally cuts into the background.
Yes, I saw that.
Great.
It looked great.
It looks great, and it's just simple depth perception. Camera perspective stuff. Simple. That's how you had to do it. Save your money. Don't big set of green screen crap, and they make it work. Simple screen and look like a good effect.
It did. Yes, it did. Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah.
Simple stuff.
Yeah. So me wrapping up. So let's wrap up my spoiler-free thoughts, right? So yeah. I thought that this really worked, right? And again, for me, the biggest takeaway of this show here the MCU has now reached the point where we could actually like just tell really compelling stories without having to reference everything Avengers or everything Endgame or whatever it is. We don't need to do that anymore, right? That's not to say that we won't, but we don't need to do that, right? We could just tell really cool stories, and rather unconventional too. This one, the only powers are just magical powers. That's really what we get here, right? But again, it's not like, your Iron Man or whatever it is, right? It's not that type of show, right? But that being said, though, I could see some people who, not hating on y'all, who just pretty much who just probably just fed up of the MC right now, and they just think that the highest peak of it was Endgame, and everything after that is just like, I don't understand this. I don't want to watch WandaVision. I don't want to watch this. This is not going to be for them. It's not going to be for them.
Yeah, as I say, you gotta care about the story, and it's how invested in the mainline storyline.
Yes,
it's not for you. Yeah, I get it. Well,
exactly. So
my attitude is that the MCU, because the MCU didn't really do that good job of bouncing off of the of phase 3 into phase 4 and phase 5. I think the phase 4 transition is still pretty bad when you more and more think about it. But to be fair, COVID happened, so
yes,
you couldn't really do one way or the other. I really want to see. I just think that if you're doing this thing, just tell your own story and don't waste your time trying to do all this Lincoln bullshit nonsense. Don't waste your time with that.
Because people are overwhelmed already.
They don't link to the previous stories in certain ways, but it's still a good story on its own. You don't need to know all that bullshit.
Agreed. Yeah, because I already know people overwhelmed by this stuff, right? Because I was saying this too, because I saw like some reviews of like some critics saw like the first 4 episodes and they were like, I don't really care to see the rest, right? Or first 4 or 5 episodes, they say I don't really care to see the rest, right? But most of the time, those are people who just kind of just get fed up of the MCU. They're just kind of tired of it after Endgame now, you know what I mean? They're not invested, they don't care enough to see about side characters and whatnot, right? But that being said, if you are patient with it, because I can imagine even diehard fans might watch this and be like, okay, well, what are we really getting at with this, right? But, and I found myself feeling like that a few times, just a few times, like, okay, where's the story going? I'm not too sure, but I still invested because of how likable these characters are, right? If you're patient enough and you stick it out, you will be rewarded with a really, really solid show, right? And yes, when we get to the spoiler section, we'll talk about the finale. Because for me, when that finale played out, I was like, wow, that just put everything into perspective now. Wow, you know what I mean? So to me, that final episode is the best out of that whole season, right? But for what it's worth, I really enjoy this, man. But again, for the ones who just tired of MCU and they just don't know where things fit now, this is not gonna be for you, right? But if you're a diehard fan, still give it a look. Just shut off. Just tune your brain out of the whole anti-woke stuff and just appreciate the story for what it is, right? So I give my rating here one time. Strong 3.5. I like 4 out of 5, man. I really enjoy this one. So Ricardo, your thoughts on it, rating, and then we'll get into some spoilers.
This got solid 8 for me. I didn't expect it to be again up until episode 7 or so. I was like, this is well executed, but it's exactly where I thought this was going. And then 8 and 9 threw a couple of really interesting curveballs, and I thought that was really excellent. That's what pumped it up for me. It's going normal until that, and then it's like, all right, this is real hard. Like it's really, really good, great character stuff. And I really want to see where it's gonna go. One way or the other. So 8 out of 10.
Right. So spoiler territory. You've been warned. Just a few things you want to mention, right? So the structure of it, right? The structure of this whole Witch's Road journey, I really enjoyed, right? Just the idea that, our heroes, so that would be, and to extend Agatha, right? We're all going on this journey, but it always reaches a trial, right? And the trial relates to one of our characters, right? And, it has to deal with some kind of trauma that's related to them being witches, right? And being, and I love how just that aspect, how it explores, how witches have been portrayed over the years as, crones, right? Or just evil women and all that kind of stuff, right? So I love how they spin that, right? I didn't mind the subtlety behind the backstories of the characters, so we didn't really need to know every single thing when it came to them, right? So case in point, with Alice, and her mom being this progressive rock artist. I'll touch on that near the end, right? Yeah, and her wondering where her mom is because her mom was a witch apparently. So stuff like that. Yeah. The stuff with who else, boy? The stuff with Jennifer Keel, and apparently some doctor took her powers, and then you find out, actually Agatha did, right? I wish we got a little bit more detail into that too, because it just more came off as, that happened back in the past. I didn't remember that. It's like,
that's season 2 thing, because they know what happened to at the end into the character.
Yeah, they do leave certain narrative threads open, so I felt they could have tied them up just a little neatly, even if you were doing a season 2, right? What I did not expect though is that the characters would die one after the next though. Kind of thinking that at least like half the team would have actually survived now if we actually kill them off. But no, for every trial a character dies, right? The one that really, really got to me though was Lilia though, and it explains how because when you saw in episode 2, she would just kind of stop and be like, "What was that?" Right? Almost like her mind is being diverted, right? But then you realize, she sees things in past and present. I love that, right? Yeah. So yes, when she's talking to somebody, it will just her mind will just instantly switch to something in the past, right? And how she went out was really tragic though. With the castle spinning, or I should say the house spinning, and then her falling to death.
The inverted tower. Yeah.
The inverted tower. Yeah. Which
it's a lot of like she was the tarot specialist.
Yeah, she was right. Yeah. And the choice of song, which what I find so funny is the same song that they use in X-Men Days of Future Past with the Quicksilver scene. I found that funny though, because in the next episode you saw friggin' Evan Peters.
Right, he comes back.
Yeah, I was like, okay, Marvel Studios, I see what you're doing there. Yeah, as Ralph Boner.
What's his name? Boner,
Ralph Boner. I forget what his handle was, because he was Boner something 69 or something like that,
Right, yeah,
some edgy stuff, right? He was, Yeah, so I did not expect the whole death stuff, right, of the characters, right? But I'll just say this before, just to take a pause, and then you could weigh in on this, right? I was suspecting that we were going to get a season 2, right? And when we get to the final episode, I'll be like, I will kind of explain why I felt that way, right? So in my head, I was telling myself, these characters who died, they're gonna come back in the final episode, and they didn't do that. But still, I was telling myself, is magic stuff. So honestly, I was not emotionally invest. Like I didn't feel it too much when the characters die. I tell myself, they're witches and they'll come back, right? And they do set up the whole team of reincarnation with with Billy Maximoff anyway. So it's like, all right, they would come back in the final episode, but they didn't. So I tell myself, all right, season 2 fit, I guess, so.
No, but the twist was great. Like I find that twist was a pretty good twist, which is the road is bullshit.
Yes, that really caught me by surprise now. And then
the road is bullshit. So the reason why the road exists is because of Billy, not because of her. She was a total freaker, and she used to just use it to steal the powers. And then, he make the road, so she didn't expect that to happen. I was like, that really interesting.
Yes.
Like, all right. And she kind of just rolling the punches, being the bullshitter she is there.
Yeah.
That's real clever though.
That was great. That was great. Yeah. Well, before we get to the finale, right? Just want to mention quickly, episode 6, right? So this comes right after 5 when we realize, the teen, because he didn't have a name because the whole sigil thing, right? Was a Maximoff, right? And we realized that he was Billy, right? Yeah. So I thought that the next episode where we saw his backstory actually make a lot of sense, right? That's the idea. Right. Even though,
right? So that's still unclear to me, because Billy is who led him to get to that point, because the witches was meeting him before. This is when he was William, just the normal kid having his bar mitzvah. He got to the point, but all of the witches was tied to that in some way. And because and then I don't know if it's like Wanda did this to make sure that Billy survived in some way. Like, it's not just happenstance, right? You'll probably find out in season 2 that more relevant. And you see that he didn't find Tommy. And so that could be a thing. And then according to that, this was going to happen one way or the other, which is so interesting.
Yeah.
And all right, I want to know where they're going. Yeah. The stuff with that was great too, because it's like when they get to see all these skull faces, which is straight up from the comic. That design looked great.
Yeah, I should look that up
You
though
know,
because I'm not I don't have a workable memory of how
but
that looks like in Marvel Comics.
yeah, no, it's just a typical like it's just a lady death. It just look like a lady version of the Grim Reaper. That is basically what it is. But in this design, the design looks like what was the name of that? Oh gosh, the fellow who did Doctor Strange. Oh gosh, what's the director?
No,
Whatever
Sam Raimi. Oh,
Sam Raimi,
Evil Dead, Evil Dead.
yeah, the Evil Dead poster. It looks a lot like that.
Yes, you're
Like,
right.
alright,
Yeah, yeah.
I get that vibe from it. So like, okay,
Yeah.
good design.
But there's a couple things when it comes to there's all right, so one on Death and one on Billy, right? So I like the idea of this reincarnation, when it comes to Billy and Tommy, right? Because William, that's actually Joe Luck's character's name, right? He dies in that car crash, right? But then Billy somehow is revived through that body, right? So I thought that was really interesting, right?
But he died. He had to die next to the thing. So when the thing was dissipating, Billy went there.
Oh yeah, right. So
I was trying to say, like, was the probability of a body getting there to do that now? They say all of us. I get a feeling that I have some extra stitching going on involving Wanda. You're not sure, but we're not sure.
Yeah,
who to get to that point.
All right. Well, for me, what we're talking about here is basically the anomaly that took place when the illusion of Westview was breaking down, right? When Vision left.
And then when a girl came back, she came to Westview. What's her name? Sasha Zamita's character.
Oh,
when she come out of the ground.
Okay, so, all right, sorry. Jennifer, yeah.
Yeah, she came back to Westview. She came back to Westview. It's like, okay, so Westview is still relevant now to this now.
Yes.
In terms of pulling people into that location now.
Yeah, and also like the fact that she alive though. Like I was like, hey,
yeah, she's alive.
And I actually thought like, well, she actually is my favorite of the side members, or I should say the members of the coven. Yeah, like I thought that I actually was happy that she make it, right? But just the idea of reincarnation with Billy and Tommy, really was fascinating, right? And in episode 8, the idea that Tommy may or may not have been now reborn in the body of this kid, this boy who drowned in this pool. Is like, oh, okay,
right.
Okay.
Well, that's where it kind of get interesting, because I suspect Tommy or Billy gonna be tied to the other big reveal, Nicholas Scratch.
Right. But we have not seen him again after we see him die in death pretty much took him in that final episode.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So and Nicholas Scratch is a presumably big character now, like going forward now. At least in this lore. So I'm not sure what's going to happen with that. They left threads, and it's good threads, right? Because I'm not too super hype over it. It didn't waste my time today. It didn't feel like a sequel tease, but just good threads to set up. Like, all right, you make me put a red flag and put the pin in this for now. So I'll keep mark for this when season 2 or whatever come about, or whatever they do, or whatever it is they decided to do with Marvel and the whole Secret Wars thing, or whatever they do. I'm not sure what they're doing, but Billy, well, aka Wiccan, is part of the world now.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And he's well established as in his power set, and with Agatha tagging along. So I'm not sure where they go, if he go show up in a movie or somebody else's TV show, whatever it is. At some point, we're not sure.
Yeah, we're not sure anymore, right? But that's just few things before we wrap up here, right? So just quick mention about that. The nitpick that I have with her, right? So it kind of makes sense when you think about it that she and Agatha of all people would have a relationship. Would be in a relationship, right? But I felt like once that reveal that Rio was dead, there wasn't that much clear info into why she was like hounding down Agatha so much, why she was so hell-bent basically on ensuring that these characters die instead of trying to cheat their way out of it, right? It just felt like, okay, I'm dead, so once you're about to die, I'm gonna hound you down until you're dead, right? So, and you see that in particular where she was going up against Agatha and Wiccan, and it was like, oh, well, you make a choice, it's either you or Billy. That moment I was like, all right, you're really so hell-bent on getting somebody to go with you to death, to hell or whatever.
I think it was more to do with just her deal with Agatha and what Agatha's relationship with her is. So Agatha kind of not supposed to have anybody with her. As it is now, that's with the child. So anybody who get close, she had to take somebody, and whatever going on with whatever shenanigans going on with Billy and Tommy, she had to sort that out now. Like that's what the thing was. Remember, she wasn't there initially now, and then they call her, So again, it's magic. So I'm not sure what they're gonna do with it as it is. It's unclear. Whatever.
So I guess we'll see more in the next season, right? So just touching quickly on the final episode, right? The right. So in addition to getting a great backstory into Agatha, and you really understand why she is the way she is, right? You know, it's all about survival. Just this whole idea of sucking power out of witches and whatnot, right?
Right.
And yeah, just taking care of her son Nicholas, right? I love how they set up early on the relationship between her and Death. So it's like, Death, don't come for me, my love, I'm about to give birth and blah, 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 right? And then, Nicholas, grew up, right? But they set up that he was sickly, right? So, like, at first I thought that he was faking it, right? But actually, no, he actually was sickly, right? So, yeah, one night, Death literally comes for Nicholas and she leaves to them, right? And I can understand, like, in the present time, that Agatha isn't ready to meet with him, right? Because I guess she just has more things she feels needs to get done before she could confront him, right? Or I guess that's one of her biggest fears, right? Actually confronting the person that she couldn't hold on to, right, for all these years, right? But for me, the best thing about this episode, though, is how they dissect the meaning behind the Witch's Road song. And because it's one of those things that you hear it in the music, and you hear the song repeated over and over and over, right? But when you see the context of it, which is there's a song that they used to sing, right? And it's just this folk song, right? But then and this is like just beautiful, right? In my opinion, beautiful, right? The moment where you see Agatha buries her son, she sings her own version of it, right? She adds her own lyrics to it, right? What I love about that, though, is that you could see how over the years the meaning of that song changed. And, it's true of many, songs that were like really archaic or old songs, right? Over the years, the meaning changed. It's changed lyrics, it changed words. See, was a perfect example, like gospel hymns, right? Yeah, over the years, lyrics will change, right? But, if you go back to our older version, it'll be like a different word, you know what I mean? And this is mere fact that, yeah, she Agatha uses this to lure witches in and doing the song, and then she's sucking the powers out of it afterwards, right? That was brilliant, right? But I think what makes that the significance of the song work for me, right, is in the end of that episode, the song that they play, the version that they play, is the one that Alice's mother sing, right? And I love that it is the 70s progressive rock kind of styles, right? So you can imagine, like, in the world of Agatha All Along, people listening to this and thinking, oh, it's just some kind of, like, folk song. It's some shit to get high to. But no, it's a song. It's an old classic song that passed down from generation to generation. But, humanity wouldn't know about it. This thing is a song to get blazed to, right? But there's a meaning to that. And then you can understand why somebody like Billy could hear that song and think to himself, oh, the Witch's Road exists. And again, just beautiful writing here, right? Him having his mom's power, right? As in Wanda's powers.
Yeah.
To create the whole thing for himself. He created the Witch's Road, right? But this one point I want to make, and then I want to hear your thoughts on this, right? That episode, that final reveal of it in episode 8 was fantastic, right? I found it so funny though, like in his room where he's seeing all the images and he realizing, oh shit, I did all this, right? There's a Saw poster. And this is like the end of Sawhorse, where they just show you all the reveals and, oh, remember when this character see this and like that. It's a Saw moment. But it's why it's so funny that Saw was in the background and the poster of it. That was interesting. But yeah, though, that just really, that blew my mind, though. That reveal was amazing, right? So that reveal and the meanings behind that song, that Witch's Road song, were fantastic. Though. That was stellar, right, in my opinion. But yeah, your thoughts on the whole reveal of the Witch's Road and the song.
Yeah, the cool reveal. They do the context of it really well. Again, really, really excellent stuff. There's the highlight of it. Again, this was a really catch me off guard, and it's he having him. Wiccan is a pretty strong character, so this makes perfect sense to me. All things considered. So it's like, yeah, that makes sense, and I really like what they do there. As it is,
yeah,
they make it. They make a smart call about him having this power and what he could or can't do. And then what Agatha could have can't do, and at the end, what happened to Agatha? And then which is Agatha dies.
He'll becoming a ghost.
She dies, but becomes a ghost, and that is interesting. And so you say, wait, how come the other witches will become ghosts? They go and come back to us ghosts, probably. I'm not sure. Or is it that but they make the point that she, the whole ghost thing. They do the classic unfinished business, or more like she don't want to meet him, implying it's her son.
Yes.
I don't know where they're going to go with that. And all that is good stuff too. I'm like, all right, this at the end of an interesting place. I'm like, all right, good. I actually, want to see more. So like, as I said, if it wasn't for Penguin being absolutely goated right now, this still take a second place, but it's a good second place. Really enjoying this right now.
Right. So that's just lastly before we wrap things up, right? So mad points to Kristen Anderson Lopez and Robert Lopez, who did the music for this, right? And they also did the songs for WandaVision, right?
WandaVision,
points for that Witches Road song though, cause that shit stays with you, because yes, they repeat it a lot, but just the context behind it makes a lot of sense, right? And then of course using some of its lyrics as the titles for these episodes. But yeah, that song works, so the melody of it, that bam, 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 that stays with you, right? But yeah, just the context behind it really worked, right? And just lastly, while I did enjoy the ending, right, and just knowing that yes, there will be a second season, because that's how they wrap things up, a part of me felt that it was kind of anticlimactic too, because we don't know what's going to happen next with Death, right? Because Death is the antagonist, right? And as much as I appreciate the fact that we see the three witches that didn't make it to this point, right? With the exception of Jennifer, who survived. Yeah, I wish we at least saw what happened to them though. Like, are they, as you said, are they ghosts, or are they still stuck in their proverbial, purgatory or whatever it is? We don't know, right?
But I guess in the next season we'll see. They die in the context of a fake thing. Remember, the whole point was to steal their powers anyway. So we don't know how they die, or if they die because of Billy's magic, they could still be alive in some way. Because remember, that whole thing was like, oh, die so you're dead. Because the thing is, remember his construction so powerful. It's the same thing like with Wanda, right? That even he can't keep track of it now. Because he didn't know, right? He had to learn after the fact, much like with Wanda, Wanda's own construction, via the vision, the fake vision, had to tell her now.
Yes.
So stuff like that at the end. So I find it's a really interesting beat. Like
it is, yeah. But I felt we could have gotten a bigger hint as to what happened to them, though, right? And I forgot to mention this other gripe that I have with the show. Not enough Salem 700. Like I thought, we could have seen more of them, right? Especially when you know who they are, right?
They kind of died a little too quickly.
Again, what I said before, we could have had more scares, and I felt like just their look, right? Yes, is Nazgul stuff from Lord of the Rings, right? But they could have brought the terror in this show, right? We could have got more scares, man.
What I thought would have happened is that it's not just the Salem 7, but all the women she killed over the years would have come back after she knew. Like, those generations of women she's picking off.
Oh, imagine if we see that in season 2, though. Like,
right. I thought it would be like literally. So it's literally dozens of witches, some undead witches coming back, and not just. So the Salem 7 is just like that's the full set. It have more. So when they kill one, they just coming back now, or something like that. I was expecting that. Whatever, it's not. No big deal. Yeah, season 2. That's season 2.
Yeah, season 2. Right? Yeah, so gripes aside though, I really enjoyed this one, right? I didn't love it as much as I wanted to though. And yes, I will still put Penguin over this right now, right? But for me, right, again, as I said before, I just love that this show is brave enough to say, here's what. We don't need to be referencing Avengers stuff all the time. We could tell our own story and you'll enjoy it, right? But again, if you just tune out of everything MCU since Endgame, I don't imagine you'll care for this, right? And then also too for people who like me, this sort of sat and binge through it. Yeah, this is one that you had to sit with, right? You had to be patient with it. You had to let the story grow and breed. Not all the details will be thrown at you immediately, right? But if you stick it out and when the reveals hit, and you'll hit real hard now, that's when you'll go back and be like, oh, that's what they mean by this. That's what they say by this, right? Yes, there are some narrative threads that I felt they could have tied instead of just saying, wait till season 2. But I'm waiting for season 2, and I really do hope that we get season 2. And just off the positive reception that I've seen online about it, and I could care less about anti-woke conversations surrounding this. Or I should say, for me, I haven't heard anything like bad about this show though. Like I thought we was gonna get some acolyte level arguments, but I haven't seen any for this. So that means that the reception is strong, and I mean that's just telling of how strong the story and the characters are, right?
From I understand the ratings were quite good as well. People was talking about it. I remember here, and I was like, and then when I saw later, I was like, no, the ratings are actually pretty good. And from I understand, the final episode is very good because 7 and 8 really built momentum. It's been great momentum for you to tune in for the next week. So I understand this was a solid successful for Disney.
Yeah. So yeah, there's hope. I should say there's gas left. There's still gas in the MCU's tank, right?
My thing is, I want you to tell a story. Forget this trying to stitch everything together bullshit. You're wasting too much time with that. You end up leading into things that don't make any sense, and you end up writing a half-assed story because you forget. That's what happened with Ant-Man Quantumania.
Yeah.
Don't waste your time with that. That's the problem. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. So
to me, just do that.
Yeah. So again, just repeating my rating here. Strong 3.5 to light 4, man. This is one of the better MC shows out there, right? But you know, so I would say if you were liking these shows and you just like probably was just hearing talks about politics and woke this and all that kind of stuff, just forget all that shit, tune into it, and I guarantee that you'll enjoy it, right? It's not as scary or as spooky as I wish it was, but it's still very, very entertaining and just told a really fascinating story. And that's at the end of the day, I just love how they just dissect the myth of witchcraft, right? And witches, right? And that's how they debunk certain things, reinforce certain things, and that's how they explore that. I thought it was really fascinating.
Yeah, I had a small nitpick myself, but again, season 2 could address this, where I really wanted more witchcraft, it was too European American witchcraft, like kind of thing. I felt we could have get, maybe other characters could have tapped into like maybe some voodoo or maybe like Indian mythology or something like that. Like,
oh, that's a great point to know. Yeah.
All the witchcraft was just a little too Western, like especially the like you could have mixed it up. Like say it didn't have to be say tarot card. It could have been other tarot cards. Because tarot cards is like it have Chinese tarot, for example, and other cultures of tarot, for example, or stuff like that. I'm not sure.
Yeah. That's a real good point.
I'm just thinking of that. It's not a big deal, but it's cross your mind. Well,
yeah, and you would think because of the diverse cast, they could have done that, right? They could have seen Asian witchcraft or African witchcraft,
exactly.
right?
And it's not like they had to fit those stereotypes because those characters were effectively American anyway. It's not like the Black Girl had to do like Southern Gothic or anything like that. But like you get my point, right? It's just they could have just mixed it up in that way in terms of like where the magic comes from and so on. So especially in the context of we call him Doctor Strange, all of that stuff is international in its own conceit. But it's more like a wide, broad conceit that covering the whole space. And they can get into that logic, whatever, small thing.
Yeah, and that's to wrap things up before you get to your final thoughts again. I am just glad that we are not getting an acolyte level backlash against this show. MCU's woke now and we're having same-sex kisses now. No.
If the acolyte was good, that would have blew over. None of that would have mattered.
That's true. Yeah. So so I really enjoy this, man. I'll close this, right? I actually have higher hopes now of the slate of TV shows that we're getting next year because a few days ago they dropped a quick little trailer talking about all the shows that are coming up. So the show, even though they show like Daredevil Born Again, they show a bit of Wonder Man, they show this new Black Panther animated series and stuff like that. So I have high hopes, man. I have high hopes. Marvel Zombies, I don't really need it, but if it turns,
but I know we're getting end of the year. We're getting more the last or third season. I'm not sure if the final season. We're getting the more what if. Like, all right, I don't know where they're going with that.
Okay, well, we'll see, right?
We'll see, yeah.
But yeah, at the moment the MCU is on the right track though. But I just hope that they don't get too. All right, so I'll put it this. I hope that they don't try to do too much, and then the quality dips, like raises at one point and then dips in the other one, right? So you see like how last year was, like how Loki was great, but Quantumania wasn't, you know what I mean? Or Secret Invasion was bad, like really, really bad. Yeah. Marvel's was Marvel's was okay, but it could have been much better. Yeah, I hope we don't get that.
Problem Marvel's because it linked to so many other things. Like
that's the problem. It was too much.
Completely fine on its own. And I think, and as I said, if the other bigger movies that should have done more, other people should have done a better job in their movies, like Quantumania or even Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, I had fun with, but like it still could have been better. Or even Thor. Like that Thor movie, Thor.
Love and Thunder. Yeah.
And that could have been better. And because I think all of those movies didn't really pick up and had you like excited for whatever come forward. Yeah, we kind of forget. So the Marvels end up just coming and failing in that too, because it's like it depends on those other movies as the side movie. I'm sorry to say, it's only now that we forget all that shit, and so much time passed now. It's like, all right, well, Agatha just fine. I thought Agatha was cancelled.
Okay, all right, yeah.
I actually thought it was cancelled. Like, what? This still coming out? All right, and it's good. Okay, surprising. Right,
So here's hoping that we have entertaining 2025 courtesy of the MC, right? If they just not try to do too much, I think this should be fine, man. But yeah, for the most part, Agatha All Along is the start of what I expect to be, a really solid output of shows, right? Whether it's TV or theatrical, from the kind folks at Marvel Studios, right? So Ricardo, your final thoughts.
This is a step in the right direction. I didn't expect to enjoy this as much as I did. As I said before, this is how you have to do it. Just tell a good story. Forget, don't overthink, thing. Just tell a simple, workable story, and they make it work. And I really hope that the MCU just stay with that now. Higher quality. You don't need as much quantity. Tell a solid story so nobody can overthink it, and you don't need to link up everything into one thing. Like they might do that eventually with all of this Secret Wars, whatever it is. We're not sure. But I kind of don't care, to be honest. Like just tell a good story. I'll be there. That's why James Gunn shit does be so good. We just tell a good story, individual movie. Do not link to each other. Do not link up with nothing and overlap. Nothing. Tell some stories. If they can link later, great. So how to do it. Alright. That's it.